we are getting out of hand in this country. We are getting out of hand in this country. Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman killed, State Senator John Hoffman wounded in targeted political violence. A Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot and killed, and a state senator and his wife were shot and wounded in an act of targeted political violence at their homes early Saturday, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said. A manhunt is now underway for the gunman who is impersonating a police officer, authorities said. Authorities said they've identified 57-year-old Vance Luther Bolter as the suspect. State Representative Melissa Hortman, a Democrat, and her husband Mark were shot and killed in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination, Walz said at a news conference. Hortman, formerly the Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, was a formidable public servant. The governor said of his friend, "She is irreplaceable." State Senator John Hoffman, a Democrat, and his wife Yvette were both shot multiple times and underwent surgery, the governor said. The two shooting locations are a few miles away from each other in Champlin and Brooklyn Park, just north of Minneapolis. Hoffman and his wife were shot around 2 a.m. in Champlin, Superintendent of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension Drew Evans said. After Hoffman was shot, officers were heading to proactively check on Hortman when they encountered the suspect at Hortman's home around 3:35 a.m., Evans said. The officers found a person who was dressed as a police officer wearing a vest and badge and with a taser and other equipment at the door coming out of Hortman's house, police said. The suspect fired at the officers. Gunfire was exchanged and the suspect was able to escape and flee on foot, authorities said. The suspect's vehicle, which looked like a police vehicle, including police lights, was in Hortman's driveway, authorities said. A list of other possible targets was retrieved from the suspect's vehicle, authorities said. The list named Hortman and Hoffman, police noted. The list included dozens of other Democrats from Minnesota, including Governor Walz, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, U.S. Senator Tina Smith, and State Attorney General Keith Ellison, according to law enforcement sources familiar with the matter. The shooter's list of potential targets also included the names of abortion providers and pro-choice activists, several sources told ABC News. Many of the Democratic lawmakers on the list have been outspoken about pro-choice policy positions, two sources said. Security sources have been dispatched to protect those people named on the list. Authorities believe that when the shooter opened fire, he was wearing a latex mask that looked realistic, sources said. President Donald Trump has been briefed on the shooting and said such horrific violence will not be tolerated. Attorney General Pam Bondi said she's closely monitoring the situation, blah, blah, blah. Speaker Hortman was a leader in every sense of the word, from ushering in free lunch for our kids to protecting women's rights and reproductive care to standing up for Minnesota families, Martin said in a statement. The senseless violence must end. These heinous murders are a reflection of the extremism and political violence that have been fomented in our country, Martin said. A source close to Walz tells ABC News the governor and Vice President J.D. Vance spoke Saturday regarding the Minnesota shootings. With the manhunt ongoing, police are urging community members to be cautious. Brooklyn Park was, at the time of the reporting, under a shelter-in-place order. We don't have a motive. We just have a list of names as of the time that I'm reporting this, which would be 3:33 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, June 14th. As of right now, we just have that he had a list of other names, that they were all Democrats, they were all pro-choice activists, they were all pro-abortion doctors and whatnot. That's all we know. We can speculate from that list, from the names on it, but we don't know. That's where we are.